Hello everyone, a very warm welcome to this special concert, a unique collaboration between four bands here in Northern Ireland: Dynamic Brass, Wellington Memorial Silver Band, Harmonic Concert Band and Downshire Brass. The concert is part of a project supported by the Arts Council of Northern Ireland, an organisation that's been doing so much recently to support our local bands and musicians during these very challenging times. The project began last autumn when I reached out to the bands to see if they would be interested in working together in the early part of 2021 to create some online performances. And so tonight is the first of two events which showcase the work of all four bands. You'll hear one performance by each band tonight, and in between times hear from some of the players about their experiences of making music in this way, and also their reflections on life during the last 12 months without their regular band practices. We've got some great music and great playing lined up for you this evening, including a world premiere. So let's get cracking with the concert. First up, here's Andy McGuigan and Dynamic Brass.
Hi. Sometimes it's difficult to be positive in times such as this. Our first piece reflects the feelings that I think will be throughout the band whenever we go back to our first rehearsal, and that's Hallelujah. Hallelujah by Leonard Cohen.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us in our concert. My name's Paul Hamilton. I'm currently the musical director of Harmonic Sounds Concert Band. It's been a great privilege for me to be involved alongside my colleagues in the band with Michael Alcorn and Downshire Brass, and also our good friends within Wellington Memorial Silver Band and also Dynamic Brass. This evening we have worked very hard to put together a piece in which we enjoyed playing, something a little bit rocky, written by Bon Jovi, called Living on a Prayer, and arranged for concert band by Paul Murtha. Thank you very much.
So we're now halfway through our concert, and I just thought it would be really nice to meet some of the players behind in the four bands who've made tonight's concert happen. So I'll perhaps get you to introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Ellen and I play cornet with Downshire Brass.
Hi, I'm Angela. I play second baritone in Dynamic Brass.
Hi, I'm Graham and I play solo horn with Wellington Brass Band.
Hello, I'm Stephen. I'm from Dynamic Brass and I play the flugelhorn.
Hi, I'm Chris. I play second cornet for Downshire Brass.
Hi, I'm Dawn Stewart and I play for Wellington and I play soprano cornet.
Hi, I'm Kirsten. I play clarinet and I'm from Harmonic.
Fantastic. Well, listen, thank you all for joining me this evening. This is really meant to be an informal chat about, I guess, all the things we've been doing over the last 12 months, but in particular, just our experiences over the last few weeks preparing for tonight's concert. So I guess just curious to know from any of you, what it's been like for you to prepare music in this way. It's obviously not what we're used to in any of our band practices. So I guess all the bands taking part have done a little bit of this before, but it still remains, something we're not really familiar with. So I'm just curious to know, how you go about it and what the challenges are. Who wants to kick off?
Well, I think at the start it was very daunting. Because for me anyway, I was thinking, how do I record this? How do I send it to the person that I need to send it to? Do I have a good recording device? So there was a lot of that was worrying at the start. But having done a couple of online competitions, I think that does get a little easier. So that's been better.
Yeah. And the same experience for others, or easier?
Yeah, I agree. It was the first time I've had to work with click tracks and recording myself via video. So yeah, it took a bit of getting used to it at the start, but after a few attempts, you get used to it gradually. But yes, finding a place in the house to practice and play your pieces as well with the lighting and stuff. But yeah, it was enjoyable.
Yeah.
I've just learned the technology's fun whenever it works, to be honest. It's very different because I've never ever had to record myself playing before. But I did a virtual orchestra over the first lockdown, so I'd learned before how to play yourself, record it, and then play for the click track. So it was kind of just building upon new knowledge, I suppose, for me. But it was a fun experience because I'd never ever thought I'd be recording myself playing in a band that way, rather than sitting down beside someone and playing face to face. It's very different.
I mean, you mentioned about hearing yourself play. It's such a weird experience to make that recording and listen back. We're just not used to, because in band, of course, you can hear yourself play, but you're also hearing all the other sounds. And when you've done that recording, you feel very exposed. Suddenly, everything that goes well, or everything that maybe didn't go as well as you hoped, is now recorded for posterity. So, there's quite a lot of psychology in doing this sort of stuff. I don't know if you would agree.
Yeah, I think with that one as well, you find that you become a huge perfectionist, and you find that you want every note to be right, and you end up going back and recording many, many times. Whereas if it was normal live playing, you'd play it once and you'd forget about it. But you feel like you can't do that whenever you're doing the recording as well.
Yeah. And did anybody have an experience of getting, within a few notes at the end of the piece and suddenly it goes wrong and you've got to go all the way back again and record it again?
Yeah, it's very, very much so, yeah.
Quite a few times.
Oh, really? Yes.
Yeah. And it's quite frustrating, so it is. And also trying to get the right dynamic. So I found myself moving around different rooms in the house because I just wasn't happy with some of the sounds, And when you're trying to listen to the track when you're playing, sometimes I found myself slipping off notes, and I kept saying, why am I doing this here? And I ended up having to take the volume up and just hope that it was okay in recording, but it did turn out okay then after this, Yeah. But it just took me a while to get used to it,
Do you feel, when you listen back to those recordings, you actually learn something about your playing? Is that kind of?
I do, certainly. As other people said before, we're not used to probably listening to ourselves playing back, and it's just interesting that you hear things that you haven't done right when you listen back to it, which you don't actually notice at the time. And it's maybe something maybe we could use again in the future in our practices, recording ourselves and listening back, because you definitely learn something from it.
Yeah. I know, Dawn, you're used to being the icing on the cake as a soprano player. That's, I don't know how you find listening back to these things, whether it was easy or,
Well, a bit like Ellen said, you become a perfectionist. You just want it to be right every time, and it is very difficult. I find tuning, trying to listen to the tune and keep the tuning right, and you were sort of like hoping for the best really at the end of the day, because you didn't know what it was going to sound like when it went onto the recording. Mm-hmm. But no, 100 takes for most of the pieces, I would say.
Yeah. But look positively, that's kind of all good practice that's going on. It's keeping your in good shape and so on.
It is, because we had a couple of other wee band projects that we've done, but we had went a bit quiet for a while, and we were delighted for this opportunity to start getting back out to practice, get the instruments out and practicing again.
Yeah, and it's been great. We've been I've been hearing from each of the bands how these things have been coming together, and I think there's even a little bit of gentle rivalry going on about this band's nearly finished their recording. That's been helpful, because it's a lonely thing recording, and it's lonely trying to put these things together when we're all used to making music together. So it's almost a year to the day for many of us since we all stopped and had to stop rehearsals. I'm just wondering, what it's been like for you all to keep going, obviously apart from these, but, how have you managed to keep your playing going? Is it only through projects like this, or do you sort of spring out of bed in the morning and still do your scale practice and things like that?
I think it's
certainly.
Oh, you got it.
Certainly, when the whole lockdown business started, we did play a wee bit. We did a few other wee projects, starting, as small groups and stuff. But it's hard to keep that up, that interest, as when we don't know when we're going to get back to playing. So this has really focused, given the whole thing focus. And indeed, there's people who had fallen by the wayside amongst our wee practices that have come back, and it really has got a focus and definitely something to aim for, which has been really important.
Yeah. And Ellen, you were going to say?
Yeah, I think it's a lot harder to motivate yourself to do the work whenever you have nowhere to go to put it together with other people. I think at the start it was okay because it sort of felt like a temporary sort of thing. And I think we had high hopes that it wasn't going to last for that long. But as it goes on and on and on, I think you lose a little bit more motivation to practice, and you find that you're doing other things in the day that maybe are more of a priority, and you just keep putting it off. But I think from doing all of the other projects, once you put the work in and you see how it all comes together in the end, it's very worth it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And any other insights from people about how they've kept going during the year?
So sorry.
Go ahead, Kirsten.
Thank you. I decided to use the time during lockdown to just work on my normal practicing and work towards my exams, because band wasn't meeting, so I couldn't really. Because I do grades as well, so I was working towards those plus bands. But now I had to learn how to have online clarinet lessons, which was something. It's very different from standing beside a piano. Whenever instead of standing beside a piano, you're standing playing into your laptop, praying that your teacher hears you clearly enough. So It was an experience, because I learned a lot of things about my playing and just how to improve myself, which is, I think, really what I needed.
Yeah. I mean, it's quite hard to make that leap from face-to-face lessons to do it remotely, because you obviously lose the whole experience, which is more than just seeing somebody. It's being in the room with somebody and being able to comment on the performance and the stance and the breathing and all those things. You don't see that when you're doing that over Zoom.
I'd switched teacher as well, so I went from having to do face-to-face with someone to learn how to do online lessons with an entirely new teacher. So it was interesting because I'd never really I'd never been taught by the other person before, so I was just trying to learn how she works and how she teaches. And honestly, I'm very grateful that I have her as a teacher now, because she's already transformed my playing. So it worked out in the end. Yeah.
I mean, none of us ever imagined it would be this long away from our bands and our rehearsals. I mean, we all miss it. It's so strange to not have seen during that kind of August period when things were maybe a wee bit more relaxed last year. I had members of Downshire come into my house to record, and that was brilliant. At the end of it all, I just felt it was so lovely to have seen everybody, and not all at once, of course, but just over a period of a few weeks. It was just nice, because you do miss people. I mean, I'm just curious to know what you're kind of missing about band these days, and just your thoughts on all that.
I think I miss hearing the harmonies together, hearing the different parts coming through. Now we do have a Thursday night rehearsal, as you know, which we started last year. During the first lockdown, we had quizzes and things, but the Thursday night rehearsals have definitely helped, get the instrument out of the case and keep playing. And but you do miss that sound, those harmonies and rhythms coming through from the rest of the players. Yeah, that's a big miss.
Yeah. Any other thoughts?
Yes, I think us in Wellington, we're like a big family, really. And you're interested. It's not only about going to the band and playing, it's also you're interested in each other's lives. So, you miss that as well. And plus, for over 40 years now, Monday night has been band night for me, and that's the only thing you don't even think about it. It's just automatic every Monday night, and I don't think I've ever took time off, like never, certainly as long as this, to not be playing. And it's just the discipline, it's the start of your week, it's your routine, and then the satisfaction every week of the piece progressing and hearing each other and how it's coming together. You just miss all that part of it.
Okay. I couldn't agree more. Any other observations on that one?
What I miss from it is, although you can practice, do your home practice and do as many exercises as you want, you miss a good hard blow in the band for about 2 hours for your stamina and for intonation and all those sort of things, So although sometimes you think, oh, you've had a good blow at home, you still don't have the stamina you had before we stopped doing all this,
Graham, I think that's a really good point, because stamina, as far as I can see, is the thing that's probably suffered most for everybody. Is just it's keeping that instrument on your face in a sustained way that you probably wouldn't do at home. For the cornet players amongst you, Chris and Ellen, is that the same case for you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. Stamina was a big thing for me. Found like maybe after a couple of months of being in lockdown and not being in attendance twice a week, the lips get tired quicker, and it's harder to control your breathing. So yeah, that's one of the things I'm looking forward to. We're going back to the band room to build that up again.
Yeah, I think that will be one of the challenges. That there'll be some very sore lips on those first few nights back. Is that an issue in harmonic sounds, Kristen? Do you think playing the clarinet? I mean, I don't know.
Honestly, your stamina just depends on the piece. Like, I try to practice nearly every night if I can, so I can't really say if my stamina has been affected or not, because I've had to had to take like a whole take a bit of a dip and build my way back up to playing wise, because I had to adjust a lot of how I was playing. So I had to kind of build over lockdown. I had to try and build that up. But I think definitely not being in band, it's strange, because like you don't normally. I think because you're all not playing together, you can't you're not really too sure how long to hold things for, how long you should be playing for. Whereas if you're in a band, you could do 2-hour practice. Whereas if you're at home, it's like, well, how long do I do? How long do I actually want to do? That makes any sense?
Yeah, no, it does make sense. It is really tricky. But, by doing things like this, at least we are keeping going in some shape or form. And, I'm sure those of you who've been involved in putting these together, I still recognize Downshire Brass's sound, when things all come together. And I'm sure it's the same in your own individual performances when you hear those back and, all the parts have been assembled. So I think it's good to have kept going like this, and we'll certainly be a bit like this for a few more weeks after this, I think. And I know we have some other pieces up various sleeves to be practiced and prepared in the weeks ahead. And we'll get a chance to showcase all of that in a few weeks' time in our second concert, which will hopefully happen just after Easter time. So listen, thank you all very much for joining me. As you've all been doing, just keep going, and there will be an end point, and it will all be back to hopefully some normal banding at the end of all that. So thank you all very much.
Thank you.
No problem.
Michael.
Okay, bye.
The Wellington Memorial Silver Band are going to play John Lennon's Imagine, arranged for brass by Titus and Klaas van der Woode.
Many thanks, Wellington, for that performance. Before I introduce the final piece in tonight's concert, I just want to say a massive thank you to all the players and everybody behind the scenes who's helped produce these pieces. I know very well just what goes into making these happen, both from the player's point of view and also on the production side. So well done, everybody. 12 months ago, Downshire Brass had just been to 5 Mile Town and had just played a concert in Lisburn with Peter Corey as a fundraiser for the air ambulance. The next step was to prepare for the Europeans in Lithuania. We had already been working in the autumn on our new own choice test piece, and immediately after this concert in Lisburn, our next plan was to ramp up sectionals and preparations for going to the Europeans. Well, obviously circumstances overtook and that wasn't to happen. But the composer of that piece, Butterfly Dream, has very kindly prepared a special version of that piece, or a movement from the work, for online performance. And so the composer, Morpheus, has actually created a special excerpt which is called Rush Hour Duel. And so here is the world premiere of Rush Hour Duel by Morpheus.